Hi everybody, it's Marcy, and today I want to do a little experiment. I saw a video by Jessica Rapp of Two Silver Oranges using mineral oil to make paper translucent, and I want to give that a try. Now she was using, this is just some collaged papers that I had put together a while back, and I've just cut them into strips to play with. Most of her papers were not as floral ridden as these, but I want to see what I get. So I'm just going to use these and have a go with it. Now, what I know is, like here I've got a back layer off of a napkin. So if I take that and tear some of that down, I am absolutely certain that this will work. This is a very thin, tissuey paper. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say I'm absolutely certain because I've never done this. So, but okay, we're going to try that. Start with that one that I'm pretty certain will work. And I am going to, for this one, I'm going to use some of my Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous text stamps and my archival ink. I think before I start gluing, I'll do all my stamping. Okay, so there's the napkin backing. So that'll be for one. And here I've got some just plain white tissue paper. And on this one, I'll use something a little different. Again, Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous, the fragments. All right, that'll be good enough to see what we get. So we'll use that for another one. Then I've got a piece of, got ink all over my hands, just a piece of white copy paper. And I've got a piece of a little heavier weight. It's 24-pound parchment paper. So I thought, since we were experimenting, I'm pretty sure the other two will work to some degree at least. These I'm less sure of. So there's one, and there's one for that one. Then I've got part of a dictionary page. And this paper is pretty thin, so I'm pretty sure that'll work. I've got a book page. This is from a Reader's Digest book, so it's not super thin, but it's also not super thick either. So I thought I'd throw this in and we could give it a try. Okay, we'll see what that does. And I've got a bit of old newspaper print. Newsprint might smear. But we're going to find out. So I've got newsprint. Then I've got this music page that, again, it's not a super thick book, but it's thicker. I don't know if it's actually thicker than the Reader's Digest, but it's certainly more, it's not glossy by any means, but it's certainly a finer woven paper than the Reader's Digest. We're going to have the Reader's Digest page share. Here's the Reader's Digest page, and here I've got a printout of, this is just a Gail Augustinelli collage page that I printed on my inkjet. That one I am certain is going to smear, and I just printed it on regular copy paper. I'm certain that that's going to smear, but I want to try it anyway, just because. Okay, so now what I've got to do is I've got to take all these tags, and I'm using a watered down glue. Mine happens to be Mod Podge, but any white glue with a little bit of water added. And the only thing Jessica said was you don't want glue on the top of the paper that you're putting down. So I'm going to put that down. And try not to get glue on top of it. And the reason for that is because when you go to use the mineral oil, you want the mineral oil to absorb into the paper. And if it's got glue on top of it, it can't absorb into the paper. Okay, so there's my first one. I'm going to go through and I'm going to glue down all my tags, or the paper onto all of these tags, and let it dry. And as soon as it's dry, I'll be back and we'll start applying the mineral oil. Okay, everybody, I'm back. For you, it's just been a couple of seconds. For me, it's actually been overnight. All my tags have dried with their extra paper glued to the back. And now I've got some mineral oil that I just picked up at Walmart. And I've got a pipette that I'll be using to draw the mineral oil out. And has one of those foil labels. The mineral oil will just be sitting somewhere off to the side. And I've got some paper towel here to wipe up excess mineral oil and wet wipes if they're absolutely needed. Okay, so I'm just going to grab one and start. Two things about the newsprint. A, I can see through it. Now, in places, because of the tags I'm using, here where I had the news, or not the news, the music paper underneath, that's coming through beautifully. Other places where I had, like here, I've just got sort of a pink and a brownish, and here it's the pattern behind it is not as distinct. I'm not getting that. What I am getting, however, is newspapers printed on both sides. So I can see the front, and I don't know if you can see it, but like right here, I can see through to the other side of the newspaper, which is giving me reverse print or backwards print. But that does seem to work, and my concern about it smearing does not seem to be valid. So I'm going to set this one aside. I will let these dry probably overnight, and we'll see what else, if anything, we get. Okay, now this is the copy paper that I stamped on. Just this one. This one is not going to go completely transparent, I don't believe, but it did put some translucence behind it where you can definitely see the teapot that's behind the paper. And you can even see the green and white dots behind the paper. So it did actually increase the transparency of the paper itself a good bit to give it a very translucent effect on there. Okay. Now let's move for a sec. Oh, Gotta try this one. This one has Reader's Digest book page and the printed, the collage page that I had printed. Okay. The book page did become a little bit translucent. If I compare it like to the newspaper, probably not quite as much. And again, you get the reverse print. What I'm sitting here stunned about is that I'm getting no ink. I'm getting no ink on my paper towel from the page I printed. And I can't tell, like down here on the music, I can't tell that it's smearing at all. Okay, I'm going to set that one aside. I'm sorry, I'm kind of speechless stunned. So that one I think I'm going to have to revisit. Let's try this music paper that was on sort of a, it is music paper, but it was on a little bit thicker. Paper. So that one doesn't appear that it's going to do much of anything. So that does not surprise me. Okay, this is the parchment paper. Okay, so here's my parchment paper, and it did transluce right up. Again, right here, I've got some that didn't, I don't know, had something on top of it, something underneath it, I'm not sure, but so that it does not transluce completely. So, I mean, I can see what Jessica was saying about have something bold and bright underneath it. The bolder the image behind the paper is, the more it will show through. Okay, dictionary page. And it is becoming translucent. Again, if I had something really bright under it or really bold under it, probably would have been better, but I'm still loving the effect. And I will be going back and wiping these off more. All right, this one is the napkin layer. that literally just made the napkin disappear and just left the stamped ledger print on top. So that is, I mean, as far as creating translucency, that is by far the best result. And let's check on the tissue paper and see how it does. All but disappears into the background. Well, not into the background, it just all but disappears, just leaving the image, which is super cool. So as far as creating transparency, the napkin layer and the tissue paper of the items I tried obviously worked the best. Now, the most surprising one for me was this one where the collage page that I had printed on my printer. And I'll want to see after they dry up or dry out. But I love, let me show you, the book page, the amber sort of look that it gives it. That was the original book page, or page out of the same book. So it already has color to it. And the same thing with the newspaper. So while it didn't give me the translucency, I absolutely love the color that it gave me. I'm stunned by the fact that I didn't just completely wipe away the image on my collage page. And I absolutely love the sort of amber look that these two gave me. And then, okay, the parchment paper did okay, but I'm not. And the plain copy paper stamped on did okay. The dictionary page, okay. But, let's keep those aside. Those are the ones that I am, at this moment, oh, and the book page, or the music page did absolutely nothing. These are the ones that I am most excited about. So what I'm going to do, okay, instead of making this video longer and longer and longer, I'm going to let these completely dry. I will wipe them down again to pick up any excess oil, and I'm going to let them dry overnight. And for you, it'll just be a couple of minutes, but then I'll be back and we'll look at the final and see what we got. And so I'll be back shortly. Okay, I'm back with my little tags that I had put mineral oil on. And they seem to be completely dry. I don't feel any oily or sticky residue. I tried using a paper towel to wipe them down again, and I wasn't picking any excess up. So that part of it works. I don't see the other thing that I was trying to test out. I don't see that my glue, where I had glued the, like here, the newspaper down, the paper's not trying to peel up, nor do I see where the collaged papers underneath, where I had just used glue stick, are, I don't see that they're trying to peel up either. So let's just look at some of these real quick. This was the napkin paper, and I can still feel the texture of the napkin underneath it. This was just white copy paper that I stamped on. This was the newspaper that I had used. Here I had used a Reader's Digest book page, and down here I used a digital print. And here we've got a dictionary page that I had used. Here was the music paper. And again, we did not get much any real translucency in that. Maybe a little bit. I can kind of sort of see stuff through it, but not very well at all. And this one was the tissue paper. This one was the tissue paper that I stamped on, just white tissue paper. And this one was the parchment paper that I used. So my favorite ones, actually, I don't mind the parchment paper at all. It does add kind of an aged effect. I would do it differently than I did here, but I don't mind that at all. My favorite ones are still the newsprint and the Reader's Digest, just because it brought out that beautiful amber color from those aged items, and I just love that. Still, my biggest surprise was that my inkjet ink did not run. It got a little fuzzy here, but I don't know if that's from the oil or from where I was rubbing it. But I know on some of these, like this and this, are both inkjet images, and I can see where oil came over the sides and it didn't disrupt the inkjet image either. So I found that very interesting. Here I went, because I was being very sloppy with my oil yesterday, some got on the back, so I went on this one and just went ahead and oiled the entire backside, and I love the way that came out. It just gives it a really rich, deep look. So there was one other thing I wanted to try, and that is, can I use an ink pen with the oil and write on it? So I'm just going to write, hello. And I can write on it. I'll use my paper towel instead of my finger so I can see if no, I'm not really getting, I say I'm not getting ink, and yet that is getting fainter. So, writing on, and maybe if I'd let the pen dry for a while, that might have made a difference, but probably, honestly, putting oil on the writing side probably would not be advisable. The other thing you could do would be, once you've done your oil, and Jessica Rapp had talked about this, would be using a sealant over the top of it, which might not be a bad idea. But anyway, that's really all I wanted to jump on this morning and show you how these finished out. I'm still somewhat in awe of the way it brought out that beautiful amber color of those. And like I said, I can't figure out why the inkjet doesn't run. But anyway, so really this was just an experiment to see if it would work. Now I'm already trying to figure out ways to use it. So we probably will see this again in some of my projects. And so until next time, be safe, stay healthy, happy crafting, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.